Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. What? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for November 2nd, 2021. May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Tropiano?
Yes, all 5 selectmen are present, as well as town council.
And Mr. Sullivan will not be with us this evening. Mr. Slavin, could you do the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United
States
States
of America
And
to the republic
republic
which it stands,
which stands one
one
nation
under
under
God, indivisible, with liberty and
and
justice.
justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements, Mr. Slavin?
Just a real quick thing. I'd like to thank all the first responders, especially municipal maintenance, Patrick McDonald, with the emergency management on really a great job they did, considering that we were out of power for 3 to 4 days, almost all over the place. And for the first 2 days, there was virtually nothing coming into Wareham to do anything except for municipal maintenance, police, etc. It was an extremely difficult time. They did a great job. And I'd like to thank the citizens of Wareham. It's not easy to put up with no power for 3 to 4 days, but I thought we ended up doing a really great job, and nobody really expected this to end up the way it was. But again, thank you all. And that's it for right now for that.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum, you're muted.
Okay, tomorrow at 5:30, and then again on Saturday, the Redevelopment Authority is hosting sort of a workshop meeting. The Bentley Companies of Rhode Island, whom we've designated the master developer for Tremont Nail, is going to unveil their vision for the property. The meeting tomorrow night, because it's cold and Ken Buckland is thin, will be held by Zoom. So that Zoom link is on the Redevelopment Authority's page on the town website. On Saturday, however, at 9 o'clock, we're still looking to do it live out there. Actually, we've got it. The meeting for tomorrow night is noticed live in room 320. I just noticed that on here. I thought we were doing it Zoom, but I guess he put it up for room 320 over in the multi-service center. There will be a Zoom link made available though for that meeting. Saturday is live, 9 o'clock out at Tremont Nail Factory in the Freight Building, which is the furthest building from where you enter the property. It's down in the back along the river. So find the open building and that's where we'll be. So I just wanted to get that out there. Also, thanks to everybody who showed up at town meeting, acted as citizen legislators. It's the one time a year you can actually show up and make decisions about how you want your town to be. So thank you to everybody who made it there.
You all set?
Yep.
Mr. Muniz, do you have any announcements?
Yeah,
We can't see you, sir.
that's okay. We have a Carver Marion Wareham Regional Refuse meeting tomorrow, 5 p.m. via Zoom. Have a Wareham Affordable Housing Trust meeting next Tuesday. And excuse me. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we can put on our agenda some topics to talk about that came out of town meeting that we'll need to address. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tropiano?
I have a sort of a litany of goodies here. All right, so Harvest and Holly Fair at the First Congressional Church is Saturday, November 13th from 10 to 2. The fair will include baked goods, candy, fudge, handcrafted decoration, raffle, and vendors. Lunch will be takeout only. 508-295-1630 for a menu or to place an order. That's Saturday, November 13th. Okay, the Council on Aging has planned a busy month of activities for Wareham seniors. For a complete schedule, you can visit the website, or please note that the dates and times of some classes have changed since the printing of the senior beacon. To sign up for classes, call 508-291-3100. There's a whole bunch of them here. I'll try to just synopsis them quickly. On November 10th at 1 o'clock, the Mandela class will begin. Registration is required. On November 12th, the garden therapy will be held at 10:30 a.m. with the Wareham Garden Club. Registration is required. On the 13th, the COA will be hosting an open house from 10 a.m. to noon with a variety of activities. You can call and find out about that. On November 17th, learn to make greeting cards at 9:15 a.m. Registration is required. The $3 donation is requested. On November 18th, get preventative dental services at affordable rates. Call 508-827-6725 to make an appointment or for more information. On November 19th at 5 p.m., enjoy free dinner from Mama Mary's on Main Street and watch a movie. Registration required. On November 19th, those who sign up will receive food from a Greater Food Bank of Boston from 9 to 10 a.m. Regular activities are continuing. On Monday, play cribbage from 10 to noon in room 208. From 9 to 10, take the circuit exercise class. That's temporarily at the Wareham Free Library. There is no registration. No registration is required. It's a $3 fee. Until Tuesday, join seniors for coffee and conversation from 9 to 10 in the Cranberry Cafe. Play chair volleyball at 10 or practice Tai Chi at 1:30 and learn to play Mahjong from noon to 1 following the games at 1. All right, there's a bunch of other stuff here. On Wednesday, drink coffee and knit or crochet at 10 a.m. At 1 p.m., learn to make mats for the homeless in room 102. The walking group meets at 10 a.m. at the middle school track. Registration is required. On Thursday, chair yoga with Pam meets at 2 p.m. Registration required. On Friday, learn country line dancing at the Wareham Free Library from 9 to 10. No registration required. $3 at the door. Grab and go lunches continue Tuesdays and Thursdays. Pick the free lunch courtesy of Old Colony Elder Services, the Multi-Service Center handicap ramp before 9 and 9:30 a.m. Lunches must be reserved at 3 days ahead of schedule. Delivery date by calling COA. The menu is available on Facebook. Senior tax work-off program forms at the COA office. Volunteers are needed for all information. Virtual support group held is available by calling Ken at 508-399-5900. Consultation appointments with attorney Jillian Morton can be made at 508-291-3130. And the next is sign up for the JBA on November 13th and the 20th. The Wareham Junior Basketball Association will hold signups on Saturday, November 13th and Saturday, November 20th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Peerview Restaurant located at 201 onto that. Due to time constraints, there will be the only 2 opportunities to sign up for this season. For boys and girls in grades 3 through 8, the cost is $80 per player, a $5 discount for each sibling. Let's see. Well, I don't know what that says, but it's whatever it's on there. It doesn't. I can't make it out. But for first, it didn't print very well. First and second graders will cost $50 per player, with a $5 discount for each sibling. And that's what I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have a couple. The Tigers midget team is playing in the Cranberry Bowl this Sunday at Spillane Field at 1 o'clock. They play Nantucket, and apparently this is every other year they play here and then Nantucket. The prize is a bowl that looks somewhat like a cranberry. And then the other Tigers news is that the Mites squad will be playing at home on Spillane Field at 5 p.m. on November 13th. And Pee-wee and midget squads will be playing in Hull on the 14th. That's because all 3 squads have made the playoffs. They don't know who they will be facing until next Sunday. So this is great news for those kids. Mites are 2 and 2nd through 4th grade. Pee Wee is 5th and 6th, and midget is 7th and 8th grade. We have been invited to flip the first coin on the 13th. And if any one of you gentlemen would like to do that, please let me know and I'll let Jared know. Okay, thank you. Jim, I'd appreciate, thank you. Jim, I'd appreciate it if you came back online in person, please.
Judy, could I say one thing,
Sure.
if you don't mind? I just think this is a terrific week for me, reading out all of these announcements. You know, there's been none because there hasn't been anything. And this is so nice that everything is sort of getting back to, you know, let's do our thing here. I mean, it's just exciting to read a list of things that people are doing. Stuff just awesome. I just wanted to make that point. That's all. I think it's great.
Thank you. I agree with you. Okay. Jim, I'm going to ask you again to come in back with your.
Excuse me, I just asked if I sent you a chat. I don't know if you saw that. I'm having a little trouble with my system here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
When you can join us again. Thank you.
I'm here though. I'm listening.
Yeah, I see. I know you're here. It's just, I don't want people at home thinking that you're
No, I'm here.
hiding. Okay. Next is citizens' comments. And I'm looking to see. Amariette Karahalis, we will be chatting with you in a few minutes on your appointment to the Wareham Cultural Council. If that's what you would like to talk to us about, could you put your hand down because we'll be talking with you. If you'd like to talk to us about something else, let me know. And I don't see anybody else. Okay. I'm Mariette. I'm going to not let you in now. However, if you have something different to say, I will let you speak when we bring you back in. I see, other people on citizens' comments, so I'll go to board comments. Jim, please.
I thought that's what we started earlier with, but
No, we were with the announcements. Sorry.
okay. Yeah, just like I said, a couple of things follow up on town meeting. I know this is a busy week, so maybe we get them on the calendar for the next couple of weeks. Some of the discussion that we had about a number of things, appointments and whatnot.
Okay, can you just send me?
Yeah, well, I can send it to you, related to, earth removal and or the DECA study group and things like that. Just so we can kind of get things rolling.
Great.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin, we're in board comments.
Just two things quickly. This Saturday night, Sunday morning is daylight savings time. Clocks go back. And booster shots for all 3 different vaccines are available from South Coast. And I believe they have 6 locations available. So it covers basically 6 to 7 days of the week. And it's quite easy to go in through the MyChart system to pick a location and time. You're probably in and out within 25 minutes. And approximately 20 minutes is waiting to make sure you don't pass out after the shot. So take advantage of it. It's really simple and easy. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum, any board comments? You're muted. You're still muted.
There we go. Yeah, on the COVID, you still have to be 65 or older, so they haven't dropped the age on that yet. Hopefully they do it fairly soon. I kind of like to get one myself.
They actually, at South Coast, they were taking everybody who walked in.
Yeah, they were.
So even though it says 65 and later, I mean, while I was there, the people all different ages, with or without appointments, were just walking in.
Okay,
That
That was at the Fonts Corner location.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Tropiano, do you have any comments, sir?
I-
No. I forgot to announce that this weekend is Grumpy's Run, which is a race to benefit the Cranberry, I'm going to get it wrong, scholarship. It's named after Claire Smith's brother, who took fabulous photographs his entire life, and who was an employee of Makepeace. And a lot of his art is hanging in Rosebrook, the office building, and some of it is hanging in our room in room 320. So, okay. Appointments and reappointments. I'm going to ask that Ryan Langlois and Amariat Karahalis be let in, please. Still waiting for Amariat Karahalis. There you go. Thank you. Ryan Langlois, you're nominated to be appointed to the Wareham Veterans Council. Could you just address us and tell us why you would like to be on that?
Sure. Thank you for having me on tonight. I'm a former veteran. Well, I am a veteran. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. Stationed out in California. Moved to Wareham 2 years ago. I just want to get involved in the veteran community and help other veterans, and be proactive and see what I can do to help everyone out.
Thank you for your service, sir. Do any of the board members have any questions of Mr. Langlois? No? Then I will accept a motion.
So
I
made.
move-
Race to the finish line. Which one of you made the motion? Mr. Slavin?
They'll let Patrick do it. He'll give you
Patrick?
the dates and everything.
Okay.
I don't have, the dates aren't even on here. So,
Yeah, they are. June 30th, 2024.
on my-
To a term to expire June 30th, 2024. That's your motion?
yeah, that's my motion.
And Mr. Slavin,
Second.
that's your second? Okay, I'm going to
You
do
got
a
it.
roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum, liven up your voice, please. Thank you. I can't hear you. Mr. Muniz, may I have your vote,
Yes.
please? Thank you. Mr. Tropiano, your vote? I didn't hear you.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Mr. Titlebaum?
Yes, and thank
And
you, Mr.
myself.
Langlois, for your service.
Okay, 500. I'm sorry, do you pronounce it Langlois or which is
Yes.
the way? Yeah,
Langlois, you pronounce it.
that's the way I learned it in New Bedford, so,
Langlois,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah. Your
Correcting me.
paperwork will be in the Board of Selectmen's office. It's ready there actually tomorrow. Town Hall is open from 8 to 5:30 or 5:45, depends on the day. And what you would do would be pick up your paperwork and be sworn in by the clerk. Again, thank you for
Right.
your service.
Yeah. Brian, we'll see you on Thursday at the Veterans Council at the bunker.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Amariat Karahalis, am I pronouncing your name close?
Close, Amaret Karahalis.
Amaret? Okay, Karahalis. Thank you.
Karahalis.
I apologize.
No, that's quite all right. I'm used to it.
Okay. You are applying for the Wareham Cultural Council, and would you care to speak to the board?
Yes, I am applying for the Cultural Council. I was invited to attend a meeting in October, and I found it to be very enlightening. I would like to dedicate my time to being on that board because I have an interest in the arts. I have an interest in humanities, and I support it where I can. And I've been fortunate in this town to be able to attend some of those wonderful organization events that have happened. And I would like to be part of this board to make sure it continues.
Excellent. Gentlemen, do you have any questions of Ms. Karahalis?
Karahalis, yes,
Karahalis, I'm sorry.
that's quite all right.
No,
No.
no.
Okay. Then I will accept the motion.
Judy, you're gonna have to read the dates because my sheet.
June 30th, 2023.
All right, I move we appoint Amaretta Karahalis to the Wareham Cultural Council with a time to expire June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, even though we mispronounced your name again, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes, and thank you for volunteering.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tropiano,
Yes,
and myself, yes, 500. Again, the paperwork is in the Board of Selectmen office, and thank you for volunteering your time.
Thank you very much.
I think, what did I do? Leave the R out or something like New England?
You added an A.
I added an A. All right.
Well, yeah, you really butchered it, I'm sorry.
You're speaking Bostonian tonight.
Yeah.
I'm very capable of butchering a name, trust me.
Okay. Yes, I just want to add one thing to an announcement. If you have an autoimmune disease, and many people do, you can go to Walgreens, which in Wareham, which has the Moderna, and Wareham, Walgreens and Fairhaven has the Pfizer. And again, you can just go because you are allowed to go to get those shots. Thank you for that. We have a 7:15 hearing. May I have you read that into the record, please?
Yep. I move, let's see, no, we have an application for ACAP Inc. DBA Wines and More, 2421 Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Mass. For a transfer of stock, change of manager, and change of director officers of an existing year-round common vicular all alcoholic beverage license under the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws. I move we open the hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made to open the hearing, seconded by Mr. Titlebaum. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Titlebaum,
Yes.
Muniz,
Yes,
and Tropiano,
Yes.
and myself, yes. The hearing is now open. I'm going to ask that Mr. Michael Rigo, Sal Pau, John Capri, James Clarkin, and maybe William D. Cristofaro, if you're here, that they be let in. Double check to see how many of them are here. Michael. Yeah, Sal Rayo. I'm not sure how I'm sure I'm butchering that one. Michael Rigo is pretty easy to pronounce, right? And
Mr. Rigo is muted.
yeah, could you unmute yourself, Mr. Rigo? Who else do you expect, Mr. Rigo, to come to the meeting?
Jeffrey Padua, the attorney, should be on. In addition to, I'm Keith Gillis. I'm also here.
Could you spell your name, please?
Keithgillis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the
Hi,
other,
this is Sal Rayo. Can you hear me?
yes, thank you. And
Okay.
it's Rayo, thank you. And
Yeah.
you said there was one other person.
Good evening, Jeff Padua. I represent ACAP and also William De Cristofaro.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, who is here to speak for the applicant, please?
That
On
would
behalf
be,
of the-
that would be me, Madam Chair. Again, my name is Jeff Padua. I'm not on the golf course. That's my my background. But I represent ACAP in this application for the transfer of stock, the change of officer, change of director, and also the change of manager. Mr. John Caprio has owned 100% of the stock in ACAP, and he's diversifying his portfolio, and he's selling 50% to his acquaintance, William De Cristofaro. And so that's the change of stock transfer. Mr. De Cristofaro will assume the title with your approval, of course, as treasurer. And then we're bringing on a Massachusetts resident to serve as our director. His name is Edward J. Lanny. And along with that, our manager, has had a health issue, and so we are bringing in a new manager, and his name is, help me out here for a second, Michael Rigo, sorry.
Yep.
And Michael, so we're asking for approval for the change in manager as well.
Thank
As you
you.
know, we've submitted all the application documents about the transaction, all the certificates and letters to show that we're in good standing, and we're happy to answer any questions or address any concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Padua. We were sent later this afternoon, the Corey release forms for the individuals, Mr. Caprio, Mr. DiCristofaro, and Mr. Lani, that we did not have in the packet. So those gentlemen, my gentlemen on the board, those were all, that was all we were missing at the time that we got this. The paperwork is in order. Do any of you gentlemen have any questions of the applicant? Mr. Slavin?
No,
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum?
None.
Mr. Muniz?
On the manager, did they present like a license or something, or was it birth certificate?
Yes, I have, yes, sir.
Birth, okay, yeah,
Yes,
good, we're good, thank you.
you're
Good
welcome.
job.
Okay, Mr. Tropiano?
No, I'm all,
Okay, great. So we're actually looking for two motions. One would be for the change of manager to Michael Rigo, and the other would be to change the owners to John Caprio, William DiCristofaro, and Edward Lanny. Is that correct, Mr. Padua?
Mr. Lanny has no ownership interest. He
Oh,
is
that's
serving
correct.
as a director.
Right. Okay, so he would not be in that motion, but Caprio and DiCristofaro would be as owners, each 50-50.
Well, it's simply listed as a transfer of stock, Madam Chairman, so I would say that should just be the motion to keep it as simple as possible.
It's not, it's change of officers and directors and
Right, but-
change of stock.
Right. But I wouldn't name the officers and directors. You could just do the motion as a change
Okay,
and avoid, directors versus owners and all that.
okay. Do you want to make the motion then, Mr. Titlebaum?
approve the transfer of stock for our ACAP Inc. DBA Wines and More, 2421 Cranberry Highway.
Is there a second to that motion?
second,
Motion made by Mr. Tropiano, seconded by Mr. Titlebaum. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
yes,
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Muniz,
Yes,
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes.
myself, yes. Now,
Madam- Move we approve the change of manager for ACAP Inc. DBA Wines and More to Mr. Rios.
second,
Second.
motion made and seconded, motion made by Tropiano, seconded by Slavin. Mr. Slavin, roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
yes,
Titlebaum,
Yes.
Muniz,
yes,
Tropiano,
Yes.
myself, yes, 500. That has been accomplished. Gentlemen, the paperwork will need to be signed by us in the next couple of days. Gentlemen, my gentleman board, can you get to town hall for maybe Thursday afternoon signatures by
Nope.
Thursday afternoon?
no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, can I just procedurally, can I just inquire, do we need a motion for the change of officers and directors? I'm not sure that was incorporated into the stock
No.
transfer motion.
It wasn't. Okay, yes, I'll take another motion, Mr. Tropiano.
All right. Make a motion that we allow the change of directors and officers.
Second.
For ACAP, DBA Wines and More. Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, Mr. Slavin,
Yes,
Titlebaum,
Yes.
Muniz,
yes.
Tropiano,
Yes.
Whiteside, yes, 500. Thank you, Mr. Padua, for catching that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
And thank you for continuing to do business in Wareham. We appreciate your business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And welcome to Wareham. Thank you. The next is a change of manager for Pepper Dining Inc. And we have Joshua Lewis Sanchez, who would be let in.
Okay, we have an application for a change of manager from Pepper Dining Inc., DBA Chili's Grill and Bar, 2885 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass, under the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Mass General Law. This does not require a public hearing, I believe.
That's correct, it does not. I'm just looking to see whether Mr. Sanchez is here.
Yep, he's been brought in.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Just need
Good
the
evening,
microphone.
Mr. Sanchez. How are you?
Hello, how you doing? Sorry,
Good.
just getting myself situated. Okay.
That's okay, great. Thank you. Would you care to address the board, sir?
So, oh, me?
Yep.
Okay, so I should have my lawyer, attorney here too. Andrew Upton should be here.
Okay.
And I believe he was going to take care of that.
Yep, got him. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. Andrew, are you there?
I am here. I've been let in. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Andrew Upton, attorney for the applicant. What we have here is a change of manager to Josh Sanchez. He has quite a bit of experience both at Chili's and other establishments. He's familiar with the sale and service of alcohol. He's familiar with the supervision of the sale and service of alcohol. And he is serve safe trained in the service of alcohol. Chili's has a lot of faith in him. He has been, this is his second term with Chili's and will be his 6th year with the company. So we're very pleased to have him and we're glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Gentlemen on the Board of Selectmen, do you have any questions? Mr. Slavin?
No.
Titlebaum? Mr. Muniz?
On section 3B, I think you put no for US citizen, it should be yes. So that's on change of manager amendment. That's all.
You are correct. That is a typo and we will fix that.
Thank you.
Figured that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muniz.
Thanks, Jim.
Mr. Tropiano, any questions?
No.
And myself, I have no questions. I'll accept a motion then.
I move that we permit the change of manager, Joshua Sanchez, right? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Absolutely.
Hey, I got one right.
Okay.
For Pepper's Dining Inc., DBA Chili's Grill and Bar, 2885 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass, upon the provisions of Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws.
I have a second. No, motion made by Tropiano, seconded by Titlebaum. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin.
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
Yes.
And myself, yes, 500. Paperwork, after you make the correction, Mr. Upton, will be available to you probably Thursday, sir.
That sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for staying in Wareham. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, Mr. Buckminster, Mr. Costa, Joseph Costa. There was a lady's name from Michelle West.
Yeah, Posley Witten.
Yeah. So those three need to come in, please.
This Beth Park Rain Garden.
This is the rain garden thing, yeah.
Is one of them the designer or the engineer?
Yes, Horsley Witten is, yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Ms. West. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Gary. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Joe Costa, for joining us.
Good evening.
And Mr. Claytor, is he with you as well?
Yes, he's with Horsley Witten Group.
He's with us. Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, we asked you here because there have been some concerns about the design and the bulkhead safety or integrity at the Bessie Park for the rain park that was approved several months ago. So we'd like you to address that, I think, is I believe that's really what we're looking for. Mr. Buckminster, do you care to address them and ask questions? Because really,
I think it was all addressed, and they probably were advised of what we were looking at, and that was the 12 auger systems that are underneath the rain garden.
Would one of you choose to comment on the integrity of the augers?
If I could just make a few preliminary comments.
Sure.
Just in terms of how we got here. The Wareham, town of Wareham is working with the Buzz Bay Stormwater Collaborative, and we funded Horsley Witten Group to develop designs for the site. Horsley Witten Group actually helped us evaluate 10 sites around Buzzards Bay. We did preliminary designs for 6 sites, conceptual plans for 10, preliminary designs for 6, and final plans for 3, including Bessie Park. And we had submitted the paperwork to the Wareham Conservation Commission. The plans were not yet, they were marked not for construction. There were still some open issues that were not resolved. We had not received the Historical Commission permit, as you recall. And the town had tried to secure grant funding from DEP and CZM to finish off the designs and to secure construction funds. And the total of those 2 grants were $384,000. And you just heard yesterday from DEP that you did not receive funding. And you received information from CZM a couple of months earlier that you did not receive funding. So I did have some comments that maybe I'll save to the end about next opportunities that we could pursue some funding and how we can move this project forward after you resolve the issues related to the support structure for the bulkhead. So with that, I'll just pass it on to Horsley Witten Group.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Michelle, are you going to be speaking?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so the question about the augers in the area of the proposed bioretentions, I think the focus had been on the, I think we called it bio number 1, right along the edge of the parking lot. This is a very shallow system, and it will be above where those augers are for the bulkhead. And it is intended to just filter the storm water, not infiltrating into the soil below, so that the clean water is collected by a perforated pipe and under drain and then carried to the outfall into the river. So we are above, as far as we can tell from the information that we have, the helical piles that are there for the bulkhead. But it is true that they were not shown on our existing conditions plans that were part of the submitted permit application. And that is something that will definitely be added at the point if there's funding and we can take the 75% plans to the 100% plans to make sure it's very, very clear that system is there and it should be protected at all costs.
Can I just ask a question? I'm sure we all want the answer. How far below are the bulkhead holdbacks, if you will? How deep are they into the river? Or below ground level, I guess.
I can tell you from what I saw in the details, but if it looks like, was it Gary had his hand up?
Go ahead, Gary.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut in.
Yeah.
I think you're going to look at about 3 feet when you're looking at the bulkhead where it actually ties into the whaleback, and then they go at a pitch and they gradually probably taper to about 6 to 8 feet. I would assume somewhere in there, depending on what they got for actually getting, the proper hydraulic torque for the setting. So they could be even further if they had to add termination pieces onto the augers.
Yeah,
I would add.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would add, anyone can go down there, and if you go look at the bulkhead from the water, you can see a horizontal cross member. And each one of those bolts on that horizontal cross member is an auger that goes through the wall and into the earth behind it. So it starts at that point and then it slopes downward further into the ground. And the rain collection system, the stormwater collection system, is relatively shallow near the surface of the parking lot.
Thank you.
Are there other materials that go into that subsurface? So if you've got an 18-inch rain garden, are you digging down further to actually change the soils? Just because you're going to have some absorption, I'm assuming. It's not all runoff.
It is not intended to absorb or infiltrate below the garden at all. It is under-drained completely to capture the treated runoff and connect it in with the existing outfall. So the intention is not to have any extra infiltration in that area. We can also just completely line it, have a complete impervious liner. The under drain surrounded by gravel works really well, but if we want to be sure that there's absolutely zero infiltration, then it's easy to have that lined completely.
Thank you. I just want to remind you, all of you, that you need to go through me to be able to speak. Sorry, I just don't want to. Yep, that's okay. Mr. Buckminster, do you have any other questions of them, sir? You're muted.
No, nothing at the time.
Thank you.
If they do look at the design again, I really don't think this is a very well thought out design. This is not a very good location for this. And it's our only waterfront park. And now we're putting a rain garden. I do have a couple concerns with it. And I think when we're looking at a focal point of the downtown Wareham and it's our only park that's on the waterfront, and then we're putting a rain garden into it, I think we should be designing the park first and then putting the rain gardens around it. So just I'd like to make sure that we utilize the property in the best means possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Muniz, do you have any questions, sir?
No, I think any questions that had been raised by Mr. Buckminster have been answered. And when we go into the next phase of engineering, if and when we do get a grant for it, we can address any concerns related to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could address that point also and comment on Mr. Muniz.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Costa.
We do have a municipal grant that's going to be announced in December, and it's going to be specifically for stormwater designs. And the town would be more than eligible to apply to our grant program later this year to secure funding, to finalize those designs and to make sure it meets all your needs.
Thank you. Yes, Michelle?
I was just going to add to what Gary said about the design of systems like this in parks. It is something that's very commonly being added and integrated into parks. I think I heard his point, though, that it should be done at the same time as thinking about how the park is used and its design. And so that's perhaps something that, if we can, these are extremely flexible designs. And we tried to make it as interactive for park users as possible with stepping stones and native plants that people like to look at and things like that. If there's other components or shapes or, it's very flexible in how it can look. And so certainly at the next stage of design, I would hate for it to feel like it's ruining the park or something, because these green infrastructure is enhancing parks everywhere. And that would be the goal here, not to take anything away from a park.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin, do you have any questions, sir?
A couple points on the financing, the grants and stuff. ARPA, which is the next big piece that's coming in now being released. Basically stormwater management, your water, sewer, etc. Three of the prime areas, including broadband and stuff, will be getting a substantial amount of money for that. So the projects, basically, if they have a dollar amount, we submit it, and most likely it would get funded that way if we want to go ahead with this, number one. Number two, the only issue I have with this, because we're going to have to do stormwater management in that area anyways, no matter what, especially with the hospital, with the new air and stuff, with all that water that's going to come off the paved surface going right down the hill into that whole area. The issue is that, and Gary can explain it better than I can probably, is when they put that bulkhead in, it was like a plastic sheathing, and it didn't really go into the ground all the way. We did not do what the property next door, which is the Baker property, which is take all the granite and replace it at a cost of probably close to $400,000. We use this plastic sheathing method with the augers, but there are areas there where I don't believe it went all the way down. And I believe we're having some undermining of soil escaping into the river, just through the regular current, et cetera, because it didn't really go all the way through. So my only concern would be, as we're losing stuff because of, I'm not gonna say it's an improper design, but because of what we have, it could affect everything overall there. So that's my only concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Titlebaum, do you have any questions? No. Mr. Tropiano?
Not really questions. I totally agree with Gary about the use of the park. Bessie Park's been a big part of this community for a long time, as everybody knows. And it gets a lot of use, especially during the summertime. Boats are coming and going and things of that nature. So, and remember, years ago, of course, that's where the parade ends, where, all kinds of stuff happens. And it's a very popular kind of a thing. And I think it used to go the other way, though. Remember the parade? We used to start and go the other way once upon a time. But anyway, it's a very a useful part of the community. And I think whatever ultimate finished design has to incorporate the fact that that is a well-used park and that we don't want to take it away from the citizens. And I think Gary's absolutely right in that respect. As far as, helicoils, structural augers, or whatever you want to use, I leave my faith in the engineers that it'll be corrected, correctly done, and correctly designed. Of course, if it doesn't, it'll fall on you. If something goes awry, it'll be your problem. And so I'm okay with that. But I think you got to take into consideration everything that Gary talks about. I think that's the more important part than ultimately the final design, is the important thing.
Thank you, Mr. Tropiano. Mr. Muniz, I honestly don't remember whether I asked you or not, whether you had questions or comments.
No, I commented earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I just have a couple of comments. My understanding is that the town of Mattapoisett just ripped one of these out. Am I correct, Mr. Buckminster? Was it Marion, Mattapoisett that you told us about? You're muted, sir.
Sorry, my computer was alerting me my battery is dying. The town of Marion had to cut down all their vegetation, and I guess they're going to be coming in with new vegetation. They had a lot of overgrowth. I think there's a maintenance issue that was involved with it as well. One of the things that they stressed was they had to cancel, band concerts or something because of the mosquito habitat was a little wild in there apparently, but they did cut down everything. So they're going to be coming in with some new plantings, I guess, and thinning it out. So they've redone the whole section of Island Wharf. It's a gigantic rain garden. Probably one section is over 100 feet.
Is that a design that Horsley Witten did?
Horsley Witten did not do that design, but I'm sorry, did you? No, Horsley Witten.
You did.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Madam Chair, can I jump
Yes,
in?
please. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm Rich Glader. I'm the president of Horsley Witten. That was the first generation design that was done in part with the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and the plant selection was done by others. But that was the issue on any of these things, is you have to have a maintenance component. And that was designed in about 2007. And so these systems have evolved a lot since then, number one. And number two, we're definitely planting them with species that are much more maintainable, much more compatible with park uses and whatnot. So while I think, yeah, native species, but also species that can be maintained, a lot of grasses and flowering plants, but things that, that can be maintained a lot easier. I would say that facility at the wharf is actually performs very well. It just obviously has to be maintained.
Thank you. The other question I have, at the bottom of the bulkheads, isn't there cavitation going on? And isn't that going to continue? That's directed at the engineers, I guess.
Well, so I'll try to answer that. The marine infrastructure that has been installed there is designed to retain the soil behind it. Our facility is designed to manage the stormwater that drains into it and to then drain it away and to not interact with the subsoils. If there are groundwater issues or other issues interplaying with the bulkhead, this won't change that. There's no additional water that we intend to put into the soil below these systems. So if there's an existing problem there, it would likely continue. If there's no problem, I wouldn't see any issues with it.
Thank you. Does anybody else on the Board of Selectmen or Mr. Buckminster, do you have any one of you have any more questions of these individuals?
I just want to thank Michelle. She really spelled it out for me, so I appreciate it. And moving forward, we all want the best for the location. There's no question about it. So, anything I can do to help, facilitate or look at designs. We want the best for the water quality. We want the best for the park, and I think that's our ultimate goal. But I was concerned about the helixes on the wall, so that I appreciate that, and especially defining the liner and water infiltration. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it for all of you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The three of you for joining us this evening, and we appreciate the information that you were able to give to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now go to the discussion and possible vote regarding the temporary closing of Stevie B's. So Mr. Berenger would be let in, please.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before we start.
Yes, sir.
On the agenda, it said continued discussion and possible votes. So we're not voting on the rain gardens, am I correct?
I'm not really sure. Yeah, it does say possible vote. There were some real concerns, I think, from Mr. Buckminster that this was a really bad idea.
Yes.
I don't hear him saying that right now, that it's a really bad idea. I think his questions have been answered, but I would put off the vote. The vote would be to renege on our willingness to do it. And I'm not sure that we're there.
No, I just want to, somewhere down the line, we really need to support it, especially if we're going to go for, and do an ARPA fund, grant program on it. That's all.
Well, then why don't we put it on the agenda for next week, sir?
Oh.
Or do you want to vote on it tonight, guys? Mr. Muniz?
We already voted on this.
Right.
We did
To
before.
support it and to put in for the grants and for the design.
Correct.
As long as there's no engineering concerns, I think we should move forward. We do need to do something about the drainage in that area. We are already dumping into the river, but it's not going through even a treatment like what's being suggested now.
Mhm.
Just kind of goes in the drains, and you can see those big I think the two 12-inch outlets that you can see at low tide.
Yeah.
So it's something we should do. And I think we already voted on it. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we voted on it, but the loss of the grant might have changed our viewpoint on it, I guess. Or if Mr. Buckminster had not been answered, satisfactorily. I don't think we need to revote. That's my opinion, because we stand supporting it. Okay. All right. Mr. Berenger is here. We invited you here, Mr. Berenger, because we understand that you're going to be retiring. and that you are possibly selling your business. And we just want to say thank you for everything that you've done for the town, but we'd also like to hear from you about what your plans are, sir. Because you do hold a liquor license and we are allowed to delay transferring it up to 2 years, I believe.
Yes, I'm here tonight to say that, I'm sorry to say, it is time. And we spent the last 2 decades here in town and we loved it here. And there's nothing but great people. And I thank the town to start right off the bat. Thank you. I was just hoping to ask the town to give me a chance to do something with my liquor license and my building. So it doesn't turn out to be another eyesore in the town or like that. But I promise the town I will keep it up. But I want to have the chance to put my building up for sale with the liquor license, because obviously it's more valuable that way.
Mr. Muniz, do you have questions, sir?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No.
Mr. Slavin, questions?
No, the liquor license really could be a transfer, but we're not allowed to really, sell a license per se. But the bottom line is you can basically, sell a business and try and transfer the license, which is fine. If someone wants to buy it and locate it somewhere else, that has to be done before. And again, Mr. Berenger and his wife and over the years have done a lot of things for the town of Wareham. They've done all kinds of charity runs and they've done a lot. And I just again want to thank them. And I'm really sorry to see him leave Wareham as far as the business goes.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah, I know when the 99 moved from the old location on Cranberry Highway and went out to Rosebrook, we didn't do anything about that license, I think, for about a year. We tried to give the family an opportunity to do something with it, attract a new tenant or new owner, actually, in their case. So there's precedent certainly for just holding it for a bit. I just wanted the board to be aware of that.
Yep. Thank you. Mr. Tropiano?
Yeah, we did the same thing with the liquor license for the that we moved to that new store on Toby Road there. Is it Toby Road? No, it's the road in between there. Yeah, Toby Road. Remember how we held on to that package store license for a while too. It had gone out of business and we kind of held on to it for that. So, Mr. Berenger, in view of who he is and what he's done, I can't see why we shouldn't hold it for the guy for a while and see what happens. And if it's a 2-year allowance, then we'll give you what we can, in my opinion.
Excellent. Mr. Berenger, I don't remember what you had indicated would be your closing date. Or have you closed? No, you haven't.
November the 6th.
Oh.
This Saturday.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The car's there, in fact.
Yeah.
We're trying to get
Any
their
other questions of Mr. Berenger? Mr. Berenger, do you have any questions of us, sir?
I have nothing but respect and I appreciate everything you've done for this town as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you. And I think you've heard us say that we are supporting you and your opportunity to sell the building and the business.
I thank you for that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy your item C, Toby South Coast is coming in next week because we had a conflict with one of the people who were going to be presenting. So we'll talk about a discussion and possible vote to establish a bylaw review committee. You got 2 suggestions from me in the packet. So does anybody want to talk about them?
Hold on, I need to get there.
It's way in the middle or way toward the end, Mr. Muniz.
I got it.
Good.
Got it. South Coast, yeah, or shall blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so there are 2 suggestions here. Would be one, in each year ending in 1 or 6, there would be a review and analysis of the town bylaws to review the general bylaws and to make recommendations, if any, to the town meeting as to additions, deletions, changes to, and organization of the bylaws. Kind of like a giant massage, but also to make sure that none of our charter or state law is in conflict with the bylaws, with the bylaws. And in this iteration, it would be the committee would consist of 7 members appointed by the moderator, the chair of the Board of Selectmen, and the chair of the Finance Committee. And each precinct in the town would be represented by a member. And the 7th member should be a whatever, okay? That one I was leaving up to you guys to discuss. Or there would be a bylaw review committee consisting of 5 members appointed by the Board of Selectmen for overlapping 3-year terms. Bylaw review committee shall conduct continuous review, blah, blah, blah. So each of those suggestions, the committee would report to a town meeting its findings. You know, if they found nothing, they wouldn't have a report. But if they found that the bylaws conflicted with each other even, then they would come back and make recommendations to us and to the town meeting. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah, sort of going along the same track as what I think some of this work is going to entail. The town clerk is hoping to prepare something to get an outside firm to codify the town's bylaws and to go through them and everything else. So I think before any decisions are made in that regard, it might be wise to reach out to her, perhaps invite her to a meeting or something like that, because you don't want, you know, the 2 entities, whether it's the clerk's office, you know, through a grant that they might be able to get, or the bylaw review committee working at cross purposes here. So I would suggest before any decisions are made that we do that. In looking at the actual makeup of the committee, you know, we only use precincts for elections. I don't think we've ever used them for anything else, for appointments or anything. So I don't know that that's something that is important or not. You've got appointing authority on the first one for 7 members. The other one looks like it's just ongoing. And, you know, is there going to be a need for that if we do have a firm come in, go through the bylaws, make sure all the changes, you know, since God was a boy, have been incorporated, gets it cleaned up and everything else? At that point, what is such a committee going to do? I just don't, I don't see how that really, you know, is something that's necessary going forward. You know, we have problems filling committees as it is. So I don't know that creating an ongoing one is the way to do it. So those are just my thoughts on the issue.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Tropiano?
Yeah, okay, so I'm not a firm believer in this, you know, setting up. I don't believe in the charter review committee either, I hate to say. I think they did, but I don't believe in it at all. This every 10 years, we're gonna have a charter review commission. Because first off, it becomes not necessarily an exercise in working with the charter or coming up with whatever. Most of the time it comes up, and by the way, this time I thought it worked out okay, but in other times in the past, it didn't work out well at all. We had, you know, huge numbers of articles. It was all about politics. It never is whatever, and it just becomes problematic. So I totally don't agree with setting up anything that's ongoing and or something that has a mandatory requirement. I think charter review commissions are required. I remember setting up one years ago when we needed one, and when that time comes, I think it's up to the board, whoever is the board at the time, to say, okay, I think we need one now, and that's what it should be. This business of making mandatory, we're going to do this and that, and then creating another layer of problems, because that's what we do with these things. We just create another layer of problems, and we have, you know, unfortunately, and today it's even worse, as you well know. Everything becomes a political issue. Everything becomes a football. Everything becomes whatever. They don't like this person's appointment. That one don't like this. We don't like this. Oh, how come they're doing this? You know, and then there's a long litany of stuff for town meeting to go through. And it's difficult for town meeting because they don't go to any of the meetings. So when they get there, they're sitting there, you know, with the, oh, well, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? You know, and it becomes a problem. So I just don't believe in that stuff. And I'm not willing to vote for either of them. So thank you.
Mr. Slavin?
Well, obviously, I did the charter review back in 2010. Yes, it was a huge amount of articles and everything else. It was definitely political, the first part. The second time around was not political. It was just going through the charter and fixing and cleaning things up. But again, no question on the first one. It was definitely politics incorporated. I don't have a problem really if we want to put together a bylaw committee of 5 people, you know, 3-year terms. And they just went, it's like I had a committee put together, which was basically a committee for, you know, for checking our accounts and stuff for our audit firm. I think it's called the audit committee. Well, we would meet a couple times a year when necessary. We would review the basically the management reports, etc. And right now the audit committee hasn't had to meet in the last 2.5 years because our management report and our audit has been so superior that there's nothing really to do. So this is the same kind of thing. If you have a bylaw committee, they can meet a couple times a year if needed. And if during the year everything is fine, they don't have to meet. It's something that's there, it's in place, and it can just come when it has to come. And I think that might be the easiest way to do it because you're not going to sit there and make changes all during the year and stuff, number one. And it's not that necessary. I think when you get into areas such as the state or the federal government making changes, so maybe you may have to change a bylaw because of that. So again, the idea of doing this on a yearly basis, you know, whatever they do, but I think you can set a committee up like the audit committee. It's really simple and they only meet when necessary, which is very infrequently.
Okay, great. Mr. Muniz?
Let me come back.
Yep.
Here we go. Yeah, I believe our charter says, I think it's a charter. I had sent it out, I believe, to yourselves and Attorney Bowen about the makeup and whatnot. I think the important part is that when we do have our mandated charter reviews or any changes in the charters, we do need to make sure that the bylaws relate to it and follow it. So if we're doing it in, what is it, 9 and 0 or 0 and 1? 0
I
and
said 0, 1 and 6.
No, I mean the charter.
Oh, the charter is 0 and is zeros. It's
0 and 1, right?
It's appointed in 9 and
9
through 10, yeah.
Yeah, so once we do that and there's significant changes, there should be a bylaw review committee to look at the 2 of them to make sure that they're, you know, they reflect each other and support it. So what, 7 or 5, 7's a good number. You need 4. It did say in the I guess that the charter that the charter of bylaws, after I was trying to dig through that I had sent out before, that the moderator would appoint. But if you want to have 3 people do it, that's fine with me. You know, it's something we do need to look at when we do make changes to make sure that they reflect each other properly. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Mr. Muniz. I think it's really important, at least having undergone a fairly massive restructuring of the charter, not changing the charter so much. There were 10 changes, but the rest of it was grammar and presentation and kind of stuff like that. But there are, I'm sure, some bylaws that simply don't comply with the charter. I don't have a problem with just doing it the way that Mr. Slavin has suggested, as you know, as an as needed. Yes, I think the town clerk should be involved or asked for her opinion. However, we don't want to pay somebody huge amounts of money to codify something that we haven't even looked at. in my opinion, because then we are paying them to fix our mistakes or our omissions or commissions. So, you know, we can put it on for next week's agenda and have her come in and, or go sit in her office and ask her what she thinks. And she could come
I think
here.
it's a good idea because she is, you know, she is the person, you know, if you're an attorney and you want to go to court and you want to show the jury the official bylaw, she's the person you get it from.
Right.
Just like the Secretary of the Commonwealth, you know, you can go online and look up the Mass General laws and be about 99.9999% certain that that's what it is. But the court wants to see the official version from the Secretary of the you know, Commonwealth's office, you know, stamped the whole 9 yards. That's why we have a state bookstore. You can go buy all this stuff. Plus they get to sell it. So maybe that's part of it too. Yeah, just saw a grin on Attorney Bowen's face. He thinks I might have grabbed the brass ring with that last remark. But anyway, yeah, but why don't we invite her to the next meeting and talk about what she sees as the issues, and then see how, you know, a codification effort could work hand in hand with the committee or not, as the case may be.
That sounds great. Is that okay with you, gentlemen?
Sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We have a Veterans Day Proclamation, which I would like to read. And this would be presented at the VFW on the 11th at
Correct.
11. And I think there's just one more of you who needs to sign it. So let me read it. This is the Veterans Day Proclamation. Whereas the 11th of November, 1918 marked the end of World War I and was commemorated starting in 1919 with the celebration known as Armistice Day. Whereas in 1954, Armistice Day was officially renamed Veterans Day in recognition of the intervening wars and conflicts fought valiantly by American veterans, men and women, on foreign soils, on the sea, and in the air to preserve our heritage of freedom. Whereas our great nation was founded on the belief that all Americans are created equal and that all Americans are granted the undeniable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whereas the freedom we enjoy as Americans does not come without a price. Our nation's veterans have sacrificed to preserve and protect our country and our Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, with the hope for peace, not only in the battlefields, but also around the globe. Whereas our nation's veterans have given willingly and unselfishly of themselves, some giving their lives, serving with distinction in the defense of the democratic principles of this great nation, in the most demanding of circumstances, in the most dangerous corners of the earth. Whereas as we pay tribute to our veterans, we are ever mindful that neither speech, nor ceremony, nor parade, nor monument can repay the debt owed these men and women who have worn the many uniforms throughout the generations to safeguard the Republic with integrity, dedication, and distinction. Whereas we acknowledge that the cost of freedom continues even after the guns fall silent. We acknowledge that many of our veterans, scarred mentally and physically, returned from war unheralded, without a grateful nation's thanks. We acknowledge that our debt to our veterans does not end the day their uniform is retired, nor should our gratitude be expressed only one day a year. Whereas the greatest acknowledgement of our freedom is to honor our armed force veterans who have sacrificed for that freedom. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen, do proclaim November 11th, 2021 as Veterans Day, and we call upon all citizens to observe a moment of silence on November 11th, 2021 at 11 a.m. in remembrance of all of our veterans who fought to safeguard our heritage. Let us proudly and with dignity display the flag of the United States of America throughout the town of Wareham to honor our veterans and humbly give thanks. Let us reconsecrate ourselves to the task of promoting enduring peace so that our veterans' efforts shall not have been in vain. And in witness thereto, we have here to set our hands the second day of November, signed by all of us. So we need an authorization.
So made.
Yeah, second.
Motion made by Mr. Muniz and seconded by Mr. Tropiano. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin.
Yes.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
Yeah.
And myself, yes, 500. Now we have a confirmatory vote request for the approval of the application for the one-day liquor license from Steve Curry, which we did. You just made it.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded for a confirmatory vote. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
yes.
Mr. Muniz,
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes.
myself, yes. And a confirmatory vote authorizing the chair to provide a letter of support to Damien's Family Food Pantry for a grant to purchase equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Muniz,
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano,
Yes.
and myself, 500. Excellent. Next, we have a donation, Mr. Tropiano.
Yes. I move we accept a donation of $1,000 from Noria Energy Corporation to the Wareham Free Library for the Wareham Free Library Gift Fund.
Second,
Great. Motion made and seconded to accept the donation. This was given out at their grand opening last week, specifically for the library. And actually, I think the library has one of those big sized, oversized facsimiles of the check. So that's cool. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin.
yes, and thank them very much as a new company coming in.
We did that, sir. Mr. Muniz.
Yeah, for me.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
Yes.
And myself, yes, exception. And a ratifying of a hiring, sir?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm gonna butcher that last name, so anybody else want to try it?
Elena Jimenez.
Jimenez, J's and H.
The J silent, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So Elena Jimenez.
okay, ratify the hiring of Elena Jimenez for the full-time principal department assistant for the DNR.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin.
yes.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 500. And then there's the opt-out and reduction fee applications for the curbside billing in the amount of $22,158.88.
You know, can I ask a question?
Sure.
We keep getting these like periodically now. How come we're not at the end of these yet? Anybody have?
Slavin?
Unfortunately, Patty, who's the only one doing this, was inundated with, a lot of the summer residents didn't come till later on and have applied. It's started to slow down, but I think Maria is also working on it. And we just had so many of them, we're just way behind getting them done.
The other thing that I've noticed, I don't know if you've driven around town, which I tend to do a lot. There's been a lot of dumpsters showing up in people's yards.
Yes,
And that's problematic in my opinion. It defeats
I
the
agree.
purpose.
It's not only problematic, it's against our bylaws.
Well, we need to, we have that new enforcement officer. And we need to be talking about somebody going out and making sure this doesn't happen. Because, for one, the neighbor doesn't want to be staring at a dumpster, and the dumpsters don't get emptied until they're full, which means they can have garbage in them for quite some time, and people can this odors and whatever else that come from the dumpsters. Not to mention when the truck dumps them, the odors that come from the dumpsters. And this isn't a good thing. This is not what we envisioned when we did this. Everybody in town, for some reason or another, is starting to get used to the idea that every other town in the Commonwealth is doing this, and it's the wave of the future. But there seems to be Wareham seems to be doing some kicking and screaming on the way across the finish line. I think we've done a heck of a job, by the way. I don't want to hear anybody else or see it. Well, I won't see it on Facebook because I don't look at Facebook. I got rid of it. But I'm really don't want to hear the people, yapping and complaining about, how this thing went. I tell you what, there's a couple other towns that I happen to know of right now. They're in the process. One of the guys I know very well, and boy, oh boy, you think we've got problems. we were smooth. We did a very nice job. And, but we want to make sure now we get compliance, that things are going to work out the way that we envisioned them. And if not, then we need to re-envision it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Tropiano. I'll accept a motion.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Tropiano and Mr. Titlebaum. Roll call vote to this, your motion is to approve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Mr. Slavin,
Yes.
Mr. Muniz,
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum,
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
Yes.
Myself, no.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep. Gotta be consistent.
I gotta be consistent. Okay, gentlemen. Town administrators report, we have none.
Oh, have to be 4-1 once in a while.
Yeah, okay. Liaison initiative reports, Mr. Muniz. You had said earlier that you had
I
some.
said them earlier.
Yep.
So I'm going to pass.
Thank you. Mr. Slavin?
Again, Veterans Council is meeting this Thursday. Hopefully we'll call our Grand Marshal picked out by then. Everything again is scheduled for November 11th and will be at the VFW, as we said before. Basically, there's a note was sent out by Mrs. Whiteside. The Class 2 licenses are coming up for renewal, and I have a list of all the Class 2 licenses with the actual size, what's allowed as far as vehicles for sale on their lot, whether it's in the front or the back. I've gone through most of them already, and on Friday, I'll be going through doing a count again to make sure they're there. And I believe Mrs. Whiteside is working with Marie and Cassandra in the office to actually put more information on the licenses, because they really just show the name of the company and nothing else. And we really need to have how many vehicles are allowed on the spot and some other rules and regulations. So I believe Mrs. Whiteside is going to be working on that and taking care of that.
Gee, I
And
thought you were taking care of it.
I think we're taking care of it somehow. And the other things going on, because of the storm and everything else, most meetings were pushed off this past week. So I have coming up the Serpent Commission meeting tomorrow that I chair. And then next week I have Mass Municipal Association in Boston, still on Zoom, Mass Select Board Association meeting, and the Local Government Advisory Council meeting all on Tuesday next week. Those meetings should give us a good idea of where we're going as far as fundings and grants, et cetera. Derek's not here tonight, but we did get one fairly good grant that was approved. We got 2 or 3 more in the works, and I keep pushing, and Derek and Ken do a great job pushing through and applying. And this is a time of year where it's pretty exciting to see the money start to come in. So I'll put some updates on probably Tuesday night or Wednesday is where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Titlebaum.
Nothing, just a reminder that 5:30 tomorrow in the Selectmen's room, meeting for Tremont Nail. But if you want to do the on-site one, then wait till Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you. Mr. Tropiano?
All right, so the new school is going to be turned over to us anytime now. I believe turn it over to us, and then we turn it over to the school department. That's going to happen. I believe it's like by next week, right? It's going to happen. I think it's on the 6th or something.
I thought it was the 6th, yeah.
The 6th that it gets turned over to us. I don't know if anybody's been by it, but they've kind of finished out front with the grading and the grass and stuff. And it's all looking so pretty and nice. I can hardly wait till it opens. It's kind of a messy job out there in front of the street for a long time. And now it's going to look beautiful like it was meant to be. I have to praise this committee for doing one heck of a job, I tell you. They were consistent. They were, thought about costs and what they were doing. And, we can't thank them enough. I don't know if you see one of the members, and there's a long list of them, thank them, because they did a heck of a job. And they're going to have a little event. I believe it's like December 10th. Or somewhere around there, that they're going to have a little event, and they'll have like a thing going on at the school, and people can go through it and see it and everything before they finally get into it, get it finally open. But I tell you, what a nice job. We all can be proud of the school. We can all be proud of the people we put on the committee to do the job. And, just the savings alone was terrific. Thanks to Derek for making sure our bond rating was high. And not like the old days when they used to spend all the free cash and have nothing in reserve, which of course caused us all kinds of problems. Hope we never go back there again. You know, we should be proud of this community for stepping up to the plate and saying, yeah, let's build this thing, because it all worked out amazingly well, and I'm so proud of everybody. I can't say enough. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I have nothing for this evening. We're looking to authorize the payment to the law office of Richard P. Bowen. I'll accept a motion.
I move to authorize, what?
Jim-
Did you say?
No.
I said so moved.
All right, motion made by Titlebaum, seconded by Tropiano. Roll call vote. Mr. Slavin.
Yes.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
Titlebaum.
Yes.
Tropiano.
Yes.
Whiteside, yes. Thank you very much.
Thought he
And there
said
are 2 sets of minutes, and we were present at both of those meetings.
Yeah, I move we approve the minutes for October 5th, 2021 and October 12th, 2021.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. I'm going for a roll call vote. Mr. Slavin.
Yes.
Mr. Muniz.
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Tropiano.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you very much. We are now going to go into executive session for reason number 6 and reason number 3. And so what I'm going to ask the gentleman, all of you gentlemen, to do is mute yourself. And I'm going to ask WCTV to close the meeting off for everyone else. And you will let us know, Ms. WCTV, when you're done. Yes, sir.
Somebody has to move to go into executive session.
Oh, yeah.
I move we go into executive session for MGL 30A, Section 21, discuss Little Harbor purchase of property, and MGL 30A, Section 21, Morales notice of claim to discuss strategy with respect to bargaining and litigation.
Thank you. Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. I will go for a roll call vote. This is to go into executive session. And can I ask you to make your motion, go into executive session and to adjourn the meeting at the end of the executive session?
Yes, you can ask me to do that. I don't know that I'll do it, but no, yes. No,
And Mr. Slavin, will you make that your second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mr. Muniz?
Yes.
Mr. Titlebaum, you're muted. Yeah, I see you. Mr. Tropiano? Yes.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay. Now mute yourselves and we will take probably 3 or 4 minutes to clear the everybody else out of the meeting. Thank you.